To step up if you're new. To continue on if you're older here. Right? If you've been here for a long time, then you keep on keeping on. Right? If you're new here, it's time to step up. We ain't got room here for spectators. Sorry. Now, I've told you this before. If you're here and you just like to kind of keep a pew warm and just show up to church, you're not going to like it here because that's not what we do. Because that's not what we're called to do. Nowhere in the Bible are we called to go and come and sit. We're called to go and tell. Right? And we're going to do that. Right? In different ways. And I want you to notice something else here that I looked at. We talked about continuing the vision. We have assurance that God will continue to do what He started. He will continue what He started. Let me back this up a little bit. Let me walk you back through this and let me show you how much this meant to me. He will continue what He started. Paul writes it this way, "For I am confident of this very thing, that He who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Jesus Christ." A lot of the stress that I put on myself thinking about what are we going to do in 2014 was unbiblical. How am I going to do this? How am I going to make sure Tuckasegee keeps moving forward? How am I going to do... I is nowhere in there except for to say the work that He did in me. God don't need my help. And we're going to grow and do the things that He wants us to do when we understand that. That He who began this work. When I understand that I can't, but He will. God transforms us. Right? There's nowhere in there that says you got to do this and God transforms you. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that if anybody is new in Christ, he is a new creation. The old is gone and the new has come. It says that God puts in us a new heart, gives you a new name, puts on a new robe. He does all of this stuff, and guess how much of my help He needs? None. He needs me to be willing to let Him do what He wants to do. So it's one thing to participate, right? And it's another thing for me to participate and tell them how He's going to do it, right? The old joke, right? The pig or the chicken participates in breakfast, but the pig's committed, right? Some of y'all get that on the way home. Your wives will tell you. God needs you to be committed to this church. He wants you to participate in your commitment, right? He wants you to be a part of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we get to tell Him where we're going. He tells us where we're going. He takes care of this. And for me, just from my standpoint, guys, as a pastor, that's such a relief when I read this truth and it started coming. Because I have notebooks full of stuff. I know y'all probably don't think I do much, but I do my brain's always working. ADD, I got to write everything down, right? And I'm stressing. Man, everything's going so good. How am I going to, everything? And I looked through my journal and it was all I, right? And some Him. How am I going to help God do this? And when I read this, right, getting ready to preach this to y'all, He was like, me, and him, not me. And that hit home. A lot of your biggest problems in growth in this year in your life of where you want to be with God is because you keep trying to do it yourself and He's trying to explain to you, you can't. Because if you could, He would have let you and Jesus wouldn't have had to come and die. We could have saved us a lot of trouble, right? No, I had to do this for you because you can't on your own. He will continue what He started. And listen, when I talk about the church, I'm preaching to the people because it's not going to do me any good to talk to four walls. Because as you as an individual grow through these things, as you as an individual follower of Christ, grab these things and marinate on these things and apply these things and live these things out, then Tuckasegee will take care of itself as four walls and an address at 511 Tuckasegee Road, Mount Holly, North Carolina, 28210. Right? As you change, as you allow God to make these changes in you. So you need to grasp these not as a collective body, but as an individual. And then as we come together collectively, individual change spills out into everything that we are. And it's just a glorious, glorious thing.